Hi, this is Nancy at Notions, and this is a really fun day because on this day there's a national traveler that came to visit us, and I don't think she needs an introduction. Hi, this is Miss Dyan, and she has come to show us just 3 of the many new items. So she's got a lot of new items.
Yeah.
It was really hard to decide which of the 3 I wanted her to show you. So Miss Dyan is going to start with her shimmers, and she's going to give you a little bit of education. So as a store owner, listen up.
Yes.
Ready, go.
Yeah, I'm all about the education. Hello, darling. All about the education. So these are my new inks. These are the shimmer sprays. I have 12 of them. I have 5 in the cool, my cool colours, exactly the same names as some of my other inks because they are those inks. I have 5 in the warms, and then they just keep rolling around. And then I have the purple, the crushed grape, and I also have a black. And what's so gorgeous about this is the really intense colour. They're not just a shimmer. I used to have the mica sprays. Well, I still do have the mica sprays, actually. I still have the mica sprays. But these are my ink with the mica attached. So they're really solid shimmer. I'm hoping you can pick up on here some of the shimmer. That was just one that I was just doing a little bit earlier.
It is like as if she put glitter down. It is so shimmery. So if you can't see it, trust me.
Except it's not glitter, because that brings me out in a rash, as you know, but it's just so intense. So I'm going to show you on here. But first of all, a little bit of education about them is you'll notice they're all laid down. And it's really important that I tell you about that. If you can see, if I turn this over, let me see on this one, can you see where the actual pearl is? This is the liquid, this is the pearl, and then you just need shaking up. Now if these were stood up like this, all this pearl would collect at the bottom here, and then your customer might just pick this up and just spray it without thinking, and that pearl is going to go up the straw in here and it's going to clog. So
because the straw goes all the way down to the bottom on this so that it can get the shimmer.
Correct.
But you don't want it in the very first blast.
Not at all. You can see here, look, here's the shimmer. There's the ink this side, but as I turn it. So I tell everybody, once you've bought them, obviously you're selling them stood up, but I would recommend you say to your customers, once you've bought them, keep them flat. Then this way, the shimmer comes to the bottom here, and you can easily just swoosh it round, because I see a lot of people shaking, they shake really hard. That's going to create bubbles, which is actually going to block the straw block the pump. So if they lay them on the flat like this and just give them a light shimmer, they will just last so much longer.
So when you're selling the shimmers in your store, you need to remember to tell the consumer that is buying it that this is what you do. Now you get to see it actually work.
Yeah, so I've got 30 colours, but I brought out, just in the shimmers, I brought 5 from the cool selection. So those are the green and blues, 5 from the warm, and these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the middle one, I'm going to take the purple, and I'm going to use a pink, and I'm going to use a blue with it to show you. Normally, I would use this colourway together, that colourway together. And there's 2 ways to using it. I can cover a whole piece like this, which I'm going to show you, and then I'll show you how I did some with the stencil. So I've laid them down, I just pick it up and I lightly shake it. You have to shake it every time you use it because it's a bit like a snow globe. When you shake it, the bits come up and they disperse through, but when you sit it still, those bits drop again. So lightly shake it, and then I'm just going to add, you can see the intensity of the colour. So the difference is that the mica sprays that I have are a clear liquid with the shimmer in. This is my ink, it's the intensity of my ink with the shimmer. So, sorry, I forgot to just mix that one. There we go.
Mix it lightly.
Yeah, and then we're just going to add the blue down there.
Look at all the colour she uses, you guys. So look how it's coming together.
I use a ton of colour, and then I take another piece, place this on the top, and then I take my trusty kitchen roll over the top, and then I peel them apart, because you need a lot of ink on there, so I always bring it up with the other one. Now when it's first done like this, you might not see the shimmer as much, and you can see I'm not going straight away and blotting it. I just let it settle for a little bit, and then the longer it takes to dry, so I'm just going to blot it. You could leave it, but I'm too impatient to do that, so I'm just going to blot it. And as it starts to dry, you can see where that shimmer is
Now,
coming
what
up.
would happen if you took a heat gun to it?
A heat gun would be fine. I
Okay.
tend to not use a heat gun only because I do a lot at the same time.
Okay.
But a heat gun, you could just dry it and it would be absolutely fine. You could just leave it naturally. You could blot it a bit more with this, but yeah, heat gun is absolutely fine. This also is like my other inks. If you've got my inks in store, you'll know that they're never ever permanent. They're always reactive with a water-based liquid. So you could ghost these, you could place the stencil on, you could spritz it with water, and we could pull some of this pattern back out as well. So that, because they are actually my inks, my original inks with the shimmer in, they work exactly the same as my original inks work. So they're absolutely gorgeous. I just brought 12 out, and I brought them in smaller bottles because what I've found is I find that a lot of your customers, they prefer a little of everything rather than a couple of bottles. And because I don't use it in the proportion of my inks, I also made it smaller. I'll just show you here as well. This is another way that I use it through a stencil. So you can see I did all my background, I did my ghosting, I did some stamping, and then before I put these images on, I just sprayed through a stencil, and I'm sure, can you see the intensity? That is actually pure sunshine. This is the gold one.
And I
So
love these images.
these are my new stamps. So this is from Toadstool Town, this is from Sunshine Girl, and these are from Three Little Maids. I brought out 4 stamps mid-range. Sometimes when everything comes out at once, it's overwhelming, so I like to do some mid ones.
The
and
fly.
the fly.
Tell me about the fly.
Well,
Why the fly?
because nobody else has a fly. I
There we
have
go.
ants. One of my stamps says has ants, and I thought I'm going to do a fly. Nobody has flies.
Nobody
and he's
has a
lovely.
fly. He is a
see?
lovely
He is
fly.
lovely. So this is another way to use those shimmers, and this is the way I tend to use it most, because with them being shimmery, they're going to be a little bit harder to write on. So this whole thing, well, if you write like I do, because I do very fine doodling, if you just write a little bit, it's fine, but I tend to use it more like that.
All right, so now let's move the shimmers, the little beauty shimmers out of the way, and we're gonna go to the,
I'm just going to take these, only because I've covered it in ink,
Yep.
so I'm just going to pop that out of it
okay.
as well.
I'm gonna
So-
keep these for my secret stash.
Yes,
Okay.
she's always got a secret
Okay.
stash. You can have this one in a minute as well.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I've got a clean one, I'm sorry. Here's one I prepared earlier
Oh,
and
okay.
forgot about.
So we're not gonna talk about the travel now. Now
Not
we're gonna
yet.
talk about the paint. Now look at these really cool new paint pens.
So these are the paint pens. This set has actually been out a year, I think, but there's 2 more sets. So this was just the one I just happened to pick up. So these are the paint pens. You can see Nancy started some in here. But again, I do a lot of education on these because this is the finest nib that you'll see on a paint pen. This nib you'll quite often see on an ink pen. Can you see how fine it is right at the end there? But this is paint. Paint is a lot thicker than ink. So there's a specific way of priming these up. What happens is, you can see if you look here, where the paint is, the paint comes to here. This is a sealed chamber. It's not airtight seal, but this chamber has a lid on it. And then this here, we have a tiny little nib which feeds into a metal nib which sits on top of a big bullet nib, and the bullet nib ends up on one side of this. And what will happen is when I press down this nib, this is where the lid is here, this lid will tilt, which will enable the paint to come out, okay? Now I see a lot of people doing this, banging it. This means your lid's doing this, up, down, up, down. So all you have to do is you turn it upside down and you just gently press it down and you hold it. I'm not lifting it, putting it down again, lifting it, putting it down. And I'm not sure, can you see now the paint is coming up? Can you see where it's, no, that's come up quite quickly, but normally it'll come to here, come to here. So the paint is coming up there, but it's still got to seep all that way up.
It is a lesson in patience.
It is. It doesn't take long. There you go.
There we go,
There
just
you go.
like that.
There it is. Okay. Now, because I've lifted that up, this is now shut. So this is now sealed in here again. So it's not going to come out, it's not going to flood. The only time it would flood is if you've banged it and done this.
Don't bang the
No,
pen.
don't bounce them. Now you can see how fine this is. Now, because this is my paint in here, which is a quick drying paint, one of the issues you might get is if you leave it like this without a lid on, or in a very warm area, it can form a skin over the top. It never does when I'm trying to show it. But if you do this and it's not writing, it might have formed a skin. So if you just wet your finger and run that, it will take the edge of the skin off, and then you'll be able to write.
All right. So
Now,
where do you use your paint pens mostly?
For my diary, I tend to use them in a lot, but all my writing, I do my writing, and even if I'm doing bigger writing, so, you know, say I'm putting Dyan like this, I tend to put the scaffolding in up first for my writing, and then I will go back in. You can see how fluid they are.
And it's going to dry quickly.
Very quickly.
Okay.
It is going to dry quickly, which is why you get that skin over, you know.
And for those of you that might be interested in this, as I am, these would also be permanent on fabric. Now,
Yes.
it's a fine point, so you'd have to worry about the grain of the fabric, but
Yeah.
I am so going to find a way to make these work on
Yes,
fabric.
but it is. But that's good because, you know, but it is such a fine point. If you've got quite an open weave,
Yep.
it's not going to work. Now, the other thing is if your pen isn't working and you think, oh, well, she told me to take the skin off and it's still not working, you might have used up all the paint in there. Because
In the
that's,
channel.
yes, so there'll still be some, but if it's skipping or anything, so what you have to do is you just turn it upside down and you
do it
hold
again.
it, you let more paint soak up there, when you lift it, and then you go again, you write again,
Right.
you know.
So this particular pack, which is the year-old pack, has
Yes.
these more primary
This,
colors.
yes, it does have the primary colours, and I sneaked purple. I did sneak a purple in there.
Isn't purple a primary color?
In my word, yes. But it has, you've got your green and blue, you've got your yellow, you've got an orange and a red, and then we've got the purple. And they are actually the colours of my inks as well. So this is cut grass. It will tell you, and it tells you on here what they are. So this is cut grass. And then there's 2 more packs, and then we have the black and white as well. Just a quick thing, the white takes a lot longer to prime. 2 reasons: you can't see it. It's harder to prime because you can't see white on white.
Okay, right.
So people get very impatient. Instead of just sitting there and waiting, they get really impatient. I always prime the white one on a piece of black card so you can see it, and just patience. That's all it is. It is harder to get out because white is all white is thicker because it's got powder in. But I don't necessarily colour big things in with this. I colour small areas and I do all my writing and all my doodling.
If you were doing big things, then you would use your paint.
Yes,
For doing
paint,
something
or
big.
I would
That's
use
why
my
we
inks
have
in a
paint.
paint
Yep.
pen. But again, you can see this is my plane. This is what I take on the plane because I'm going straight to the airport. So you can see all my colours here.
All
And
right.
I've got extras
Everybody
of them.
watching right now is going,
I
I
know.
want that. They
I
want
know.
that zipper pouch. They want
the
all of
zipper
the pens
pouch
in
as
there.
well. Yeah, this is my new pouch.
New
It's got
pouch
the
coming.
elastic, so it sits. No, it's already out.
Oh, it's already
yeah,
out?
and it goes over your diaries, and it goes over. It will even fit
Okay,
over.
this is so
because of
cool.
the
Look at that.
elastic, it will just fit. So it'll fit over my
So
journals.
that is a perfect segue into
Yes.
the new Dyalog
Yes,
travel journal.
the Dyalog.
Now, travel journal, travel planner, Dyalog.
I call it the Dyalog, but a lot of people won't have a clue what that is.
Okay.
Just because I call my diary the diary, as after Diane. But these have originated from traveller's notebooks. I've used traveller's notebooks for a long time. We used to always call them Midori's. And if you made one yourself, you called it a faux dory. Midori was a Japanese company who started them about 10 years ago. They've actually changed the name now to Traveller's Notebooks, and you'll quite often see it abbreviated to TN. If you see TN everywhere, it means
Okay.
Traveller's Notebook. And basically what it is, it's a bunch of notebooks that you travel with. So it's got an outer vessel, and then you pop them in like this. So mine has I've got 2 covers in the range. Mine are made of a really sturdy fabric that is meant to batter with age. It's meant to soften and
So it
batter.
does. I mean, when
yes,
you
and
look
it
at how
frays.
this feels very, very soft
Yeah.
now. It starts out quite stiff, as a canvas would do,
Yeah.
and then it feels very soft because you've handled it, you've
Definitely.
unfolded it, but it's not like it's going
And I
anywhere.
like to
It's
pull
just
all
as
the edges
strong as
off.
can
I
be.
like it to fray, so I pull edges off.
And I don't
It
know
is
where
strong.
you got such a strong elastic,
I know.
but that is like industrial strength elastic.
It is, definitely.
Yes.
So I have the 2 covers, which are just all hand done by me. So we have this one, and we always have this one, which again, this was a big collage that I did. So we have the 2 separate
Can I tell you
covers.
why
Yeah.
this is my favorite? That is a great pair of shoes. Love that pair of
Always,
shoes.
yes.
All right, so
Yeah,
show us
no
the
problem.
best way to put all of these parts together for when you're traveling.
So we have 2 separate covers, and we also have 8 books you could choose from. 8 different books. Some have got ready-made backgrounds in. There's an agenda one. I have black ones. I have writing ones, calligraphy ones, grid ones. Okay. So there's a choice of 8, and I also have a pack that has 3 pockets in. So you can put all your extra little bits and pieces in there. And so how do you put them in here? I'll do this upside down so you can see a bit better. So here we have the cover. We have one outer elastic which is just fed through here. Okay, it's just fed through like that. And then this is one piece of elastic. It actually goes round the thing there. So if you only wanted 2 books, you could take one of your books. I usually open it in the centre, and you could just slip it over the elastic there. So you could have one there, and then you could take this one, and you could have one here. So you could have 2 books easily, and you put this over. But I have about 6 books in mine, and this is the way that I do it. I also do elastics. So we do this pack where you get 4 different coloured elastic.
And again, it's a really strong elastic.
Really strong.
I was really surprised.
Elastic.
It's a very, very sturdy elastic.
They wouldn't let me call them rubber bands because of the way I say rubber. They think it's funny, and I don't understand why.
It is funny,
It's
in
not.
case you're wondering, it is.
Okay, so what I do is I'm going to show you how you can put three books on here. First of all, we'll start with 2. So you take one of these rubber bands. I like to open the books in the centre of each one. You can see where the stitching is there. You take the elastic. Some people do it by the covers, but I find it sturdier to do this. So you take the elastic, because I've used them a long time. You take the elastic, you put it over the top. So you've got 2 books attached together, and then all you do is you take this and you thread one of the books underneath. So now both books are sturdy in that elastic. So you could have 2 on this elastic and 2 on this elastic, but we can go one better, and we can take another book, and the elastic that you fed underneath, we can add another book on that elastic. So we can get 3 books on that elastic now. We could get more, but you're going to put a lot of pressure on there. One thing I do though is I'll take the pockets, and I can feed the pockets around the books as well. So I can take this pocket, watch, all I do is I just slip it around the book. So now I've got a pocket, a book, the other half of the pocket, the other half of the pocket, another book, another half of the pocket, another book, another half. So you can see on there.
When you get, so this is Diane's true one. This is one she's been working on. Let's say you fill this black page.
Yes.
Do you put an empty black page booklet in there so you can continually be moving them in and out?
Yeah.
Now show them.
This particular book, everything in this is one I carry around just to show actually, because every book in here is finished.
Okay.
But people, like, I have to, because I'm going from store to store, I have to do that. But when I'm travelling, what I will do is I will move them around. So for example, when I'm going on the plane this afternoon, I've got another one over there. I don't necessarily need my agenda on there because I know where I'm going. But if it's a long journey, I might want some more to doodle with. So I might put an extra black book in so you can swap them in and out. And you can see on here, I've got 3 books and one pocket. But if I just show you the black book, so I sit and I just doodle. I just do designs. This is using my journal block. This is just tracing stencils. Journal block, again, I've got some stencils at the back. I just sit and do, and there's something magical about white on black. When I'm practicing my drawing to do my stencils, if I do them with a black pen on white paper, they look a bit amateurish, so I always do them on white, and then when I've got them looking, then I do it, so everything looks foolproof on there. You can see my pockets, I have little bits in. This is one of the handwriting books, because I write all my quotes. You might wonder why this is upside down. It's because
Tom, can you see that? This one is upside down from that one. Now that seems odd,
I know,
but it makes perfect sense when you
yes,
explain it.
Yeah, because I only like writing on the right-hand side. When I'm writing my quotes or I'm on a plane, I find it difficult to go like this. So I write on the right-hand side, and then when I get to the back, I turn the book upside down and I come back on the right-hand side again.
I just think that makes it interesting.
Yeah, and you can work with it in here. Can you see? You can work with it. And what I tend to do, if I'm working, I'll go with the middle book is the one I'm working on because it's really stable is mine.
Right.
This is a decorated one again. I've just got quotes
So
in.
tell me about the paper itself, because this does not feel like just regular paper.
That's the beauty of mine. I like to say I've used them for years, and I used to get very frustrated because when I wrote quotes, you could see the quotes from the other side coming through. You could see everything. So this is the actual paper that's in my journals, that's in my diary. It's my mixed media cardstock. So even when I've coloured, you can't really see it. That's the ink that's come in there, but you can't really see it going through from the other side. So this is the agenda, and I like to decorate mine.
So about the agenda, well, this is one of my favorite things about you, is that
Uh-huh.
she does not have to-do lists.
I have
She
to-done
has
lists.
to-done lists, because
Yes.
then you've succeeded.
Correct. To-do lists are the most demoralising thing, because you write your to-do list, you don't do anything, or you maybe do one. Whereas I have to-done lists, and what I do is I have a list and I write everything I've done. Then I tick it all off and I feel very accomplished.
Yes, there
and I
you
call
go.
them to-done lists.
All right,
So,
Miss Diane, I cannot thank you
It's a
enough
pleasure.
for coming.
Love being
and
here.
Keep in mind, Diane is not just a fabulous artist, but she's the educator. She's the
Oh,
one
it's
that
all
shows
about
us
education.
how
Yeah.
to use the product that she
Yeah.
makes, and that is so important. I thank you so much for
Pleasure.
educating
Thank
us.
you.